pain like
Where's Mike? Is Mike coming?
eventually.
Okay.
I just had the thought with that picture of Scully
Intro.
and Mulder.
Frequent.
This is the new
right.
Scully and Mulder.
Here we go, everybody. Oh, wait a minute. We've already started. Hold on a second here. Son of a bitch. We've already started, and here we go. Well, let me get this going, everybody. Oh, where is it at? Yeah. Hello, Susan. No, here we go.
Do you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Friday, March 7th, 2025. Where is the year gone? My goodness, we are rounding out the first quarter of 2025. And in this, yes, it's been such a great ride with Disclosure. We've been told to strap in. Hopefully, does that mean you have to prepare for the fun that comes next, folks? Yes. Disclosure is here. No Disclosure is on pause. Have some fun, but welcome to Disclosure Tonight. Tonight we'll be talking, of course, about, yes, this UFO chaos in Congress. Yes, there's an interesting time of what's not happening and what's not being talked about. And we've got the most outspoken man in UFO Disclosure, Mr. Tim Burchett. Silenced. But we'll get to that in a second. On that note, let me go ahead and figure out my sound effects, and let's go ahead and get this drums rolling. And yeah, I started up the show a little bit wrong. I went to go start up the show, and I had a big bloom of pain going in the back of my neck. And yeah, duh. On that note, let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who the heck is out there? Let's go ahead and take a look. And thank you, Geraldine. Yeah. Self-inflicted haircuts. I appreciate it. Words of encouraging. Jesus, I can't. Let's go ahead and see who the heck we have out there. We have $70 million Man X along with Amiga Rules. I see Anne Marie and Anton Ghost. We got Azrael Aries and Andy W. all the way from the United Kingdom just popped up. Good to see you, Andy. Always wonderful having you in the audience. Anne Marie's here again. Azrael Aries. We've got Benjamin Dreyer, Brian Morgan, Kat's here along with Charmanian. Or close enough. Let's welcome in Craig Smith, Dana Scully, Dale Wolfstrike is in the audience. That's good to see you. That's a good deal, my friend. Also, let's welcome in Eva Kim, Dolly Farton. Dude Abides is here along with Firefly and Geraldine Durazio. Good, Geraldine. We'll get that out one way or the other. Let's thank Gizmo for being here along with Grey Jedi. I see Heme God and James Campbell. Jan's here along with J-Cat, JD from Philly, Juliana Reverbal, Kay Northrup, Kathy, and Kelly Broat with those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly, as always. Litz here along with Lon and Martine Unprepared. We got Marcus and the Mandels. Megan Betts is around along with Mick and Nancy Kuzmano. What a great audience we've got building tonight. Let's welcome in Neil Morgan, Niles Guy. Call him Pitbull, because he is one of our resident Pitbulls in the audience. Yes, Niles Guy has a wrench, and he knows how to use it. Simple rules. Respect, and no self. Let's welcome in Omar Alia. Sorry, gotcha. Screw up your last name again. Elia. Enough. Let's welcome in Fat Tony, Philip Shepard. We got Push King, Rain Storm Hunter, along with Ralph G. Reality Check VIP is in the audience, also known as Hollywood Herald. Who else is out there? Let's take a look. We got Ricardo Jr. is around, along with Roland and Rollins and Rough Freddy and Sam and Sandra Jute and B. Shelley Montgomery. Stephen Forbes is with us, along with Steve Leap, Super Unknown, the Chromosome Cowboy, Tina Marie, Toxic Clark, Tom Clark, Toxic Revenger, Truth Seeker, Two Midgets on a Horse, and Vern Dude. What a great audience. Let's have some fun. Let's have some Friday night disclosure. On that note, let me go ahead and start up the... Oh, no, what did I do? Song. Here we go. It's that time of the night, friends, to go ahead and welcome in our back community, our back chat, as we like to call it. Remember, our viewer calling is where it's at. We're one of the only UFO shows out there that actually invite our audience to come and join us in the back for conversation, to ask a question, etc. On that note, let's go ahead and bring up the board and see who we have in the back. Well, our first friend is coming from the great state of Florida. Let's welcome in Alice W. How's it going, Alice?
Hey, Thomas, it's going great. I'm not aware of what's going on in Congress, so I'm interested to listen to this tonight.
Excellent. It should be a great conversation. Hopefully Mike will show up sooner than later, but he usually does. He's dealing with some...
I'm here.
Oh, you're here, Mike.
Hey.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Mike.
I did not
Hi,
know
Alice.
that. That's wild and wacky. Yes, sir. You are correct.
Exactly.
All right. Well, our next friend, Mike, to know this person, comes to us all the way from Bristol, United Kingdom. Let's welcome in the man who could say something if he wouldn't get put in jail, Andy W. How's it going, Andy?
Hey, Thomas. Yeah, hoping to stay the show tonight. It's been a bit of a rough week. I nearly fell asleep in my car earlier, so
Oh, boy.
we'll see what goes on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Good to see you, my friend. Also, next in the back, we've got our dear friend Ashes coming in from the great state of Colorado. Oh,
Hi
Ashes.
guys, I've been buzzing all day. Maybe it's the UAPs.
Yep.
So
Sounds
DOD
like-
says there's a lot of sightings, and I'm here with Thomas and all of you to figure out what's happening.
Exactly. Thank you, Ashes. Appreciate you coming in today. Wow. Love it. Our next friend is coming to us. Well, hopefully, he'll be here one way or the other. Let's welcome in our friend coming from the great state of Indiana, the Hoosier State, Mr. Daryl Zernick. How's it going, Daryl?
Going good. Andiana. I like that. I'm from Andiana. It's my buddy.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a great show. Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you for coming in as well. Well, let's put our eyes to the south, down to the great state of Texas. Mr. Ed Brown is here. How you doing, Ed?
I'm doing real well, Thomas. Hello to you. Hello to Mike. Hello to everybody in the back and the front and all the ships at sea.
Absolutely. All the ships at sea. Absolutely. All right. Let's welcome in our next friend coming in from Canada, BC area. Let's welcome in our own caveman, Freezerman 71.
Hello, Thomas, and hello, everyone. I hope you're all doing well today and look forward to another good show.
Thank you for coming in, my friend. It's always wonderful to have you here. Well, our next friend is coming from the great state of Wisconsin. Let's welcome in our remote viewing targeter, Laura Campbell. How you doing, Laura?
Doing great, Thomas. Planning on looking at some other things on Monday. Some of them are moon images from Joseph McMoneagle.
Oh,
And another person that's I'm not going to mention on the air right now, but we'll talk about it maybe when I get some more information on him.
cool. Sounds like
Yep.
a great conversation. Thanks for the update, my dear lady.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right. Well, our next friend is coming from a province in Canada where all the U's are silent. Let's welcome in Mr. Michael Sokoloff. How's it going, Michael? Oh, we lost Michael today. Let's move down the line to our next friend coming to us from Massachusetts, who likes to sometimes call himself a masshole. Let's welcome in Sergeant Daniel, USMC. How's it going, Daniel?
I'm doing good, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming in. Coming down to our last two guests, let's welcome in our next dear lady coming in from the great state of New York, Tia Marie. How's it going, Tia?
Hey, Thomas. Going pretty good. Excited for the show. Happy to be here.
Great to have you aboard. Thank you for coming in. Setting our sights
Always.
back down the East Coast, all the way down to the sunny coast of Florida. Let's welcome in TVT. How's it going, my friend?
Hey guys, what's going on? It's been a minute. Glad to see everybody.
Good to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming in tonight. How about that? Appreciate you being here. Very much so, TVT, and that sets our sights back on our dearly beloved Mike, Disclosure. How the hell are you?
Looking forward to another show
Yeah.
for Friday. I think we have some things to talk about with our audience. It's going to be interesting. Should be fun.
You know, Mike, on Friday, actually not even on Friday, let's say on Wednesday of this week, their cafeteria at the office went and they made, what was it? Broccoli beef with rice. The first time I ever looked at broccoli beef, and I went back to the people in the cafeteria, the people eating there, and actually we took a collection because someone murdered that broccoli. I've never seen broccoli destroyed so much. But that's kind of, we got some stuff to talk about disclosure.
Yeah, I know.
You know, there's more things going on at the mortuary.
Yep, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
It's back like it was in 2024. We have things slow and quiet like a morgue, like a grave.
Yeah, I hear you, my friend. I hear you. But, you know, before we get going on our stories and stuff, a little interesting video that I found over on X. Looks like it was done with AI, so we should be able to play, but we'll have some fun with it. And let me bring this up here, Mike. Let me get to video.
Everything is AI now, Thomas. So
I know. Great thing about AI, Mike, is you can't copyright it.
Right. Exactly.
So let's get it up here, and we'll have a fun one. The quote on this one: "What would you do? What would you do?" Up here we go. Up. Well, that's that video. Gotcha. All right. So nice picture of a gray sitting there, looking, right? Takes a nice gas, fart, comes towards you. And the question was, in this case, you look out your doorbell. What would you do? Well, I say we go ahead and take this guy and give him the anal probing he's been looking for.
Oh, hell yeah. Turnabout's fair play.
Yeah. I think before the show, Freezer Man was talking about the eyes. There's something about those eyes, eh, Freezer Man?
They didn't look like those eyes.
No?
No, they were different.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of like, yeah. They had pupils and everything.
Oh, yeah, they do.
So.
Oh, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, got to have fun with it. Yeah, just one of those little things on the way to the story. We ran into one of these things. Let me go ahead and get back to guest. There we go there. Let me go ahead and get up the data I need to have here. Close down? Yeah, I think. All right, coming up on our first story we're talking about today is, oh God, where do we start? All right, so let me throw this up in the background. Desktop, hey, it works. So Mike.
Yes.
We remember Anna Polina Luna here, right?
That they're advocating for this?
And she had this great press conference with James Comer.
Right.
And she came out and she talked to us about this new national secrets disclosure task force that they're going to have.
Right.
And included, along with Anna Polina Luna, of course, is Representative Tim Burchett and a lot of the people, Jared Moskowitz, I think, and other people who are all, Nancy Mace, who are all part of the movement for disclosure.
The UAP caucus in the
Coming from the UAP caucus, exactly. So now we've got this particular situation to where, you know, I said when it first came out, if we get a regular pulse update, right, of messaging coming from Anna or Comer or whoever else would be a part of that task force, especially Anna Polina Luna, because she's in charge of it.
Right. She's heading up the task force.
If we're going to get that regular
engagement,
regular wealth and beat of information that's going to come to us, then this thing's serious, and potentially we could be getting something good coming out of it.
Correct.
Anna's been really quiet.
Oh, yeah.
About what's going on the task force.
Yeah, she has been. Probably because the information has dried up, and we've covered this as well. She was supposed to get that information when they released those FBI files.
Well,
but they gave it to certain, influences.
Right.
and
This is
not
for the
task
right.
force.
You're talking about specifically the Epstein documents.
Right.
The way it was supposed to work was the executive branch would be working with all the different secretaries, like Secretary of Defense or Director of National Intelligence or the Director of the FBI, all the people who are part of Trump's cabinet, right?
Who are pro-disclosure.
Who are pro-disclosure, working with them to get particular information, to gather it,
out
to have
and through
the
task force.
president sign off and declassify it, and then those documents would be handed to Anna Polina Luna. So Anna?
And then the public.
And then Anna Polina Luna and the committees would have hearings on it. But Anna said, as soon as we get these documents, we're going to give it out to the public and we're going to share it with everybody. And then after that, we're going to have hearings and talk about it, and the general public will be invited.
Correct. Yeah, they wanted. They also asked if people, when they received these files, would help them go through it and volunteer any information they were able to uncover on their own. They were looking for help from the public, if you remember. We covered that as well.
Yeah.
But that didn't play out that way, did it?
No, it didn't.
Right. That's the point.
So it didn't go on. So a little bit more than a week ago, Anna Polina Luna went and put off communications she said that she was going to go ahead and talk with the new Director of National Intelligence. What is her name again?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Thank you very much. Tulsi Gabbard.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days ago, Anna Polina, this is in regards to the JFK, MLK, RFK documents that are going to be coming out, that Tulsi Gabbard was going to meet with Anna yesterday, but since that meeting happened, no updates today, no updates yesterday post the meeting to give us any kind of an idea where the disclosure is moving to at this point in time.
Right. So she obviously doesn't have information, which means there's nothing for her to give to the public, us. It seems like it dried up mysteriously.
Well, either that or she's been busy with a whole bunch of other hearings and wanting to take and refer mayors of American cities to
sanctuary.
The attorney general. So she's been tied in a bunch of different areas. But as a leader of this, I would have expected these regular, heartbeat of information, this pulse of that committee, the pulse of the American people who are looking for this. Now, there was a meeting that took place, I believe, yesterday. I think, was it yesterday, Mike? I think it was.
Yeah, yesterday. That's correct.
Yeah, they had their first gathering of the committee.
Right.
Not one word about UAP or the discovery of UAP or any of that stuff, or whether they no updates. Remember, she had asked all the new secretary of defense, etc., FBI, CIA, also for Tulsi, that she wanted to have all the UFO documents given to her by February 18th, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the date.
What have we heard? Crickets.
We haven't even heard Representative Tim Burchett yelling it's a cover-up, like he always does.
Yeah. Now, if there's anyone who was outspoken on UFOs,
it's Tim Burchett.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of, if you would want to look at Tim is kind of over here. Tim is kind of a guy, if we go ahead and look at him with what's going on, he's like, if you want to call he's got a big mouth and he likes to use it. Nothing wrong with that, right?
No, nothing wrong with that.
He likes
at all.
to talk about about the cover-up. He's the one who has been saying it's a cover-up more than any other person in Congress. We could probably say he has the most vocal voice out of anybody in Congress. So him being quiet is just, with everything else, I guess there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's not looking good. Now, we do have two people, and we'll be talking about this for a while tonight. Let's see what Ed and Ash's had to say. Ed?
Absolutely.
Well, I think the first thing we need to consider is that this is the week after, a few days after that presidential address, and it's probably got all of them scurrying, trying to look up stuff from that. I think that could have an impact on slowing it down. But I think the most important thing that's slowing it down is that many of these new people are realizing they don't have the power to pull that stuff instantly. Like Tulsi Gabbard could probably reach down into the intelligence community and say, give me everything you've got, and she'll get stonewalled, just like everybody else has. So she may not have it to give to Luna. That'd be my.
Yeah.
And I thought, you look at this, the analogy is to look at this like an onion. If we think there was only one layer that we needed to peel back in order to get into it, I think there's many, many layers. And I think each of them is going to be a fight just to get to another lower level of security to finally get this information.
Yeah. Potentially.
Well, that's a good point that we look at, and we've covered this as well. Look at what's going on with the Epstein files. It's the royal runaround. Everyone's getting jerked around, not getting a straight answer, and the files are in limbo. So even that has ground to a halt right now. So that's a good point, Ed. You're right about that. And that has nothing to do with disclosure. So I can only imagine when we finally get to the disclosure topic at one point, whenever the government is ready to deal with that, it's probably going to be more of the same.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. It's just one of the things we can look at and say, look how far we've gone and how far things have come along. But I joke about it at the opening for the show for a reason. When I said, the last thing we were told was to strap in. For what, I guess.
Yep. Exactly.
Ashes, your hand is on my lady.
All right. Well, you guys know I like to keep up on this stuff. So it's kind of hard for me because the task force launched last month with Comer, and it's been so quiet. They promised a March hearing, but yet they have no subpoena power and zero updates. It's crickets, like you said. And that's even after the DOD dropped over 200 sightings reports. Burchett was singing Freebird yesterday. Where's his take?
It's true. It is. It's, it's concerning, and I guess I'll say it, but I'll probably hate myself in the morning anyway, but I'll say it anyway. Lou always said, this isn't a sprint. It's a marathon. But
they're definitely showing us the marathon part of it.
It really feels like things have just slowed down a bunch. Where it goes, one way or the other, we'll get there.
I am hoping. I mean, I'm rooting for Luna, and I hope that she shows us the teeth that she's got on this, instead of it being a nothing burger. But we just have to hurry up and wait, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd have to agree with you completely on that one. Let me go ahead then and get back in the studio, get this up and going. Mike, it's just one of the situations. We were talking about this before today's show.
Right. Oh, we were. Yeah, at length and in detail. But if the response that we got out of the White House in regards to the mysterious drones that we also covered for a while back there is any indication of where this is headed with the current administration in regards to disclosure, it's not looking good, to be perfectly honest with you and everybody else.
Yeah, I would have to agree, Mike.
Unfortunately.
Well, there is some news going on. Let's get to some more of the stories here rather than talking about what's not going on in Washington, D.C., but that was kind of, if you want to call it, one of the bigger things out there that I know everyone's kind of interested in at this point in time. He'll go ahead and get this next piece up here. I may be able to guess desktop. Oh, nah, I don't want to do that one. Solo guest. All right. Go ahead and do this. Where'd it go? I just had it here a second ago. All right. Ashes, 1 second. Let me get to this next story here before I lose it. All right, here we go. Believe it or not, coming from Jay Anderson of Project Unity. Didn't think I'd be saying that too many times, but...
Oh, hell no.
Breaking U.S. Air Force security secretly studied Dr. Salvatore Pace plasma fusion device without informing him. if you remember the UFO patents that Dr. Salvatore Pace brought out in the past, let me go ahead and see if I can bring this up here. UFO. Let me get to the images. All right. His plasma, one of his many patents, they bring it. I'm just bringing one of his patents out there. And this is one of his for a high frequency gravitational wave generator. Yeah, like create a warp field, go around the ship. That's the kind of stuff he delivers on. So what again about him? Yes, he actually has a plasma fusion device. They worked on it without informing him. Sal contacted Jay today with a stunning allegation against the U.S. Air Force. Dr. Pace says that the Air Force Research Laboratory, AFRL, conducted a small business innovation research contract study on his plasma compression fusion device without his knowledge or input. The revelation was brought to his attention by a trusted source with AFRL, leaving both stunned and outraged. He says it looks like the USAF ran a SBIR contract on my plasma compression device and didn't even bother to inform me. Pace expressed his disbelief to him, questioning how a legitimate scientific and engineering study could be conducted without consulting the principal investigator. My gosh, Mike. Interesting. He also pointed out a highly suspicious detail, quote, the abstract of the study reportedly used the exact wording, syntax, and structure of his patent application. So the breadth of the study they put together, Mike, just took his existing work and put it in another document.
I copy and paste.
Yeah, but they probably did something based on the millions that were spent on this. Let's get to the end of this. For years, Pace worked on the subject of intense debate, with some experts dismissing his patents as speculative science, while others speculated they may hold the key to next-generation energy and propulsion breakthroughs. If the Air Force is secretly studying his concepts, it could indicate a covert interest in breakthrough physics, despite official skepticism. So there you go. This is more in line with human innovation, potentially inspired, right, by non-human intelligence, that we have these patents and this thought pattern that's been put together. Now, interesting that the Air Force is taking all of this and trying to proof out the technology without Salvatore being there. Now, the one thing that's interesting on this, Mike, that doesn't actually surprise me that much, for a good reason, Sal likes to hang out on places like, alien scientists and other places, and he said it's great that he's there, but it's a bit more of a controversial.
Yeah.
And
you're not kidding.
And he speaks very openly about his thoughts and about the patents and the technology. So perhaps they did not involve Sal purely because of, well, not going to blame it on Jay. I would never do that. But talking freely with people out there in the community. So scientists calling all these things out, it may come down to just trust.
Well, let's give the audience a brief breakdown on Sal Pius's work, which we covered when this first came out. He was working for the Naval Research for the U.S. Navy. That's where his patents were filed, if you remember.
Yeah, of course.
Because the U.S. Patent Office usually requires a working prototype of any patents that they're going to sign off on. But the Navy stepped in and bypassed that whole process with the U.S. Patents Office, and they vouched for Dr. Pius's work and got the patents granted. But that was working directly from the U.S. Navy. Nothing to do with the Air Force. They weren't involved in that in any way, shape, or form. So if they are, in fact, now looking to jump on the bandwagon and be involved and take credit for that work that was originated by the Navy and Dr. Pius, I find that to be very interesting.
Yeah.
It's a good point that Jay made.
There was work that went on testing the high-energy electromagnetic field generator that was tested on October 16th through September of 2019, and they spent close to $500,000 on it. Not a lot of money.
No.
When they did the actual test of his high-energy electromagnetic field generator, his patents involved two, you want to call it, two types of motion. One was spinning, right? High rotation. And the other one was bringing in vibration. And it was the combination of the high spin rate within the vibration that would enable this kind of generation to come to fruition. Now, back when they initially did the testing in this time frame, I reported on this many years ago, and they only managed and went after the spinning movement. They didn't bring the rotation in, so based on the claims that Sal had in his patents, they didn't see the overall results that they were expecting. But if you're only bringing in one type of force and you need two to generate this field, how could they ever say it didn't work if you didn't test all the components that were required to make it happen?
They really couldn't, because it was undetermined at that point.
Yep.
I agree. But he also had other patents as well. Room temperature, superconductors, all sorts of
so he basically had it for superconductivity at room temperature. And I believe that's actually been achieved at this point.
Well, I remember we were covering, there was civilian scientists that claimed to have made that breakthrough, but I believe they were unable to repeat it in several tests that they were having done. And other scientific groups all around the world were trying to repeat that experiment, and I don't think they were completely successful.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it's something we're still chasing.
Correct.
Yeah, but yeah, he did bring out a lot of patents, a lot of, he tried to spur a lot of innovation. And if you just think about it, Navy, are you surprised which branch of the military probably sees more of the UFOs than anything? The Navy.
Air Force.
No,
Air Force,
Navy.
Obviously.
Navy.
Well, the Air Force has been covering it up longer than the Navy.
Well,
Navy
the original UAPTF, where we actually got stuff done, was run out of the Navy.
Right.
For a reason.
Yeah,
they wanted to bring out the truth. Air Force, not so much.
They did. No, the Air Force has been covering this up the entire time. And still are. That's the problem.
Right.
But now they seem to be looking to take Dr. Pius's work, and what was the term used? A business venture? They want to bring this out to corporate interests to develop?
No, they went with it in this particular story that I was bringing out. They actually did it with a small business innovation research contract. So they put out for bid for a company. Maybe this is something Ashley could find us the details on.
Yeah, maybe. That's actually right up her alley.
Yeah. Ashley, let me put a link in the back chat.
Well, there goes the Small Business Administration, though, right? Remember I was talking to you guys about those funds?
Yeah.
And you guys are both right. You're talking about the Navy and the Air Force. And, a lot of people, like civilians like myself, that don't really have a military background or anything, sometimes we forget that the Navy and these different branches of government do have like their own little Air Force part of it too. And so it's all intertwined, but I don't know if you mind me dropping this right now, but I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed, but Carl Nell actually resigned from the UAP Disclosure Fund the other day.
Yeah.
We're aware.
The timing was weird. He's the same person that said non-human intelligence exists. Non-human intelligence has been interacting with humanity. This interaction is not new and has been ongoing.
Right.
And that's why I started paying attention to him, because I was like, yes, but then he's resigned from all this stuff. So we got to wonder what's up with him.
Yeah, that was something that was on the list for us to talk about. I'm glad you brought it up. Let's go ahead and
it's a good segue.
Let's go ahead and now open a new tab. Let's bring it up here. Let's bring his face up and let's get him up here for us all to talk about front and center. Where is that at? Hello, Carl. Hello, Colonel Carl Nell. Yes, Colonel Carl Nell has resigned from the UAP Disclosure Fund. And apparently, we have people who have asked questions to potentially find out what's going on. Mike, I'm surprised that this wasn't announced with an official press release, potentially, or even coming from their director of strategy, Matt Ford. Anytime you have a major change in an organization, usually it's better to put the information out for everybody to news versus having it be that little secret they don't want people talking about.
Exactly. But it got very quiet, like everything else in Washington so far. Not a word.
Yeah.
Just other than the announcement.
Right.
Correct.
No, it's our understanding that Carl Nell really categorically only supports non-catastrophic disclosure. What did he call it again?
Controlled disclosure.
Controlled disclosure. So something potentially got him upset enough to leave the UAP Disclosure Fund for whatever reason. There may or may not be. Now, there are rumors going out there, Mike, that are in circulation that it may have been potentially he's out of UFOs completely at this point.
Well, if you remember, Lou's former personal attorney, Ivan Hanel, was also in the UAP Disclosure Fund. And unceremoniously, after Lou had testified at the November 13th public UAP hearing, Colonel Nell, who was also on the board for the UAPDF, unceremoniously, without knowledge or consent of Ivan's, voted him off the board and removed him from the UAP Disclosure Fund. And then Ivan publicly announced that he was walking away from the disclosure effort publicly and not going to be directly involved with the UAP Disclosure Fund anymore or anything to do with disclosure itself. He was going back to his private practice and going to be dealing with mundane matters of the law. So this is something we've seen before. It seems to be repeating itself. And now Colonel Nell is on the receiving end of that, which is interesting, to say the least.
Yeah,
Don't you think, Thomas?
Yeah, of course. It's just one of these situations we're taking a look at, and we can only report on it from on the outside and what being talked about in the back channels. More importantly, the conversation on Twitter, and not a lot of people actually were talking about this on X. The only real person where I saw was brought to my attention by someone that good old Red Panda Koala was actually reporting on it, but no one else. Considering the lack of news of everything going on in the area of disclosure, why is everybody so quiet on it? That just feels controlled. Like
we know Colonel Nell prefers things to be controlled as opposed to catastrophic. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So nobody made any points about this. Nobody was covering it to a large degree. And it was something that came and went in passing.
In the night,
it's
not like there's a statement thanking Carl Nell for his participation with this and all the things. We appreciated his involvement of these different things. More importantly, we wish him the best in all these future endeavors. You know, that general statement that you do when you're leaving a company and you have your arm around your friend for everything they've done for you. More, not really for you, but with you is more like it.
Almost like he got bounced out on his ass unceremoniously, like he did to our friend Ivan previously.
Yeah, but I don't think there was a lawyer working to get him out, though.
Oh, no. No, there obviously was not the case.
Yeah.
And he has been very quiet about this as well.
Right.
Ivan wasn't. Ivan made public statements. He went on about the details behind the scenes of everything that was going on, all that drama with the hearing, with the disclosure fund itself, all the key parties that were involved. Ivan was not silent about this at all when it happened to him. But the good colonel seems to be very quiet moving forward, which is odd, I think.
Right. Well, a document of his still lives on in infamy.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
The slides.
Well, not just the slides, the UAP Disclosure Act, which we'll talk about in a second. Before we get there, let's bring up Ed and see what Ed has to say. Ed?
Yeah, we talked about this a little bit before the show started, but I want to bring up a podcast I watched today from the Soul Foundation with Gary Nolan and Peter Skafish. And Peter brought up a point that relates very closely to what you were saying about Carl. And Mike, you were talking about the transition. Well, here's part of that is out of the clear, Peter said, I'm not for complete disclosure or immediate disclosure, catastrophic disclosure, whatever term you want to use. And he made it real clear that he thought it was best to have controlled disclosure. I'm just wondering if that weighs into this decision with Carl Nell. And he pointed out it's obvious why he was saying this, that a lot of the public is just not ready for the whole shebang right now.
Controlled disclosure, I think that's what they wanted to do initially with all the research and all the documents about the COVID stuff everyone was getting. They wanted to keep it locked away for 70 years and get a piece of information out. I say bring it all out.
These all kind of really tie together, don't they? I mean, we were talking earlier about why maybe the new members of the cabinet are unable to dig down into that deep state stuff. They're asking for it too fast, and it's going to just take a month, a week, a month, or a year, or 5 years before we finally hear all this stuff.
Well, if you remember, though, we brought this up earlier. It was requested up front to all the different, if you want to call it, secretaries and directors that were appointed by President Trump, that she wanted to have any of the information or documents they had on UAP, USO, all that kind of stuff delivered to her by February 18th. And you know what? We never got an update on that, did we? Whether or not she received anything.
Yeah. So the fight now doesn't seem to be so much over the issue of disclosure as much as the issue of how to disclose. And, we've talked about this before. I feel like a broken record repeating this, but if you look at all the things we know that are now in public domain, I don't see how you can say that we don't have acknowledgement that we are not alone. And yet shows continue to bring up that statement. Are we alone in the universe? Well, no, we're not alone in the universe. And it seems pretty obvious at this point. At least I think.
We are not alone.
I would agree
we have
with
never
you. We're
been
not alone. Right.
Go ahead, Mike.
That's correct. No, I agree with Ed, as I know you do as well. We are definitely not alone. It's why we're here on the show covering this. But the government is so far been unwilling or unable to acknowledge that simple fact.
Yeah. Stay, Mocha.
Well, we've had people like David Grush testify publicly at the first UAP public disclosure hearing and state the reason that he was sacrificing his career with the military was for the simple fact that he felt that the public had a right to know that we are not alone on this planet.
Yeah.
And you realize it's coming up on 2 years since he made that statement, and we're still 2 years later.
Right, that's correct. You're right, Ed. And we have now in place an administration that wants to for all intents and purposes, bring actual disclosure out publicly for the very first time.
And don't
have
forget
the cabinet to do it.
Well, don't forget, they had said that the intention of disclosing the national secret with regards to UFOs was not to disclose everything the government knows, wasn't to declassify all the UFO files. No. It was there specifically just for the government to admit that we're not alone. Now, we know there's a lot more that they could tell us, or a situation where still telling us may not be on the menu.
Well, let's go back to the original point that I made earlier. One of the campaign promises that was made by the current administration during the previous administration, when we were covering the mysterious drone activity over New Jersey and elsewhere, was told that from day one, all information that the previous administration was hiding would be made public. Well, now we know we're in March. We know how that played out.
And there was just a hearing that was on Tuesday or so with the FAA, and they said, no, we never said that.
Right. So we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, behind closed doors, but it's definitely not going in the direction that we were promised it would. Right, Thomas?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, will you chew on that? I'm going to let you take care of the audience for a second. I'll be right back. Ashley does have her hand up.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hey, Mike. So I was doing an article, on Carl. And when I was doing that, I could only find very, very little information. And one of the only people who had covered anything about Carl was you, actually. So I'm going to give a shout out to you. But then I also did see the UAP Disclosure Fund did post a short little post, but didn't give a lot of information. And I'm looking at it now, and it says, "We extend our sincere gratitude to Carl Nell for his service on the UAP Disclosure Fund's board of directors. His leadership has been invaluable, and we wish him the best as he pursues other endeavors. The impact of his contributions will endure, and we look forward to what comes next." So that leaves a little air of mystery,
Well, have you checked his LinkedIn profile, Ashley?
I did, and the only thing that I could see were comments on other people's posts. Didn't really see too much except for his decorations.
No, I meant as far as gainful employment. Because last I checked, there was nothing on there.
He's still in the government, but we don't know exactly what for. So I'm keeping a close eye on that one because, like I said, he did at least come out and say the truth. That is something that he does have teeth on.
Who's still in the
government?
Colonel Nell?
Carl Nell is who we're talking about.
Yeah, he's retired from the military, so he has a pension. That's his involvement with the government. But as far as active service, no, there's none. Ashley.
Well, there are rumors, but I don't know. I have to clarify that.
He could be going to work for a billionaire, or he could be, you never know where he's going to go. Working for a defense contract.
In the park.
Or a defense contract. Never know.
Right, because he's been very connected with Lockheed Martin and Raytheon. So we'll just see.
Unless he actually goes back and actually does retire, but he's still got a lot of.
Right, but if you remember when the issues were going on between him and Ivan on the UAP task force, on the disclosure front, there was bad blood that was going on between them, and the colonel was not portrayed in a good light from Ivan publicly.
I think there was an interesting comment about him never being able to make general.
Yeah, the colonel. Yeah, exactly. That was a very good point.
There were
that
a
Ivan
bunch
made.
of really snidely remarks that were made.
Yeah, because Ivan was very well aware, working close in hand with Lou, who's also on the Disclosure Fund, about the inner workings of the people involved. And the points that Ivan made in regards to the colonel were not flattering, to say the least, in regards to his previous military career, him not getting along well with many people that he interacts with, having all sorts of personality issues, more issues than a magazine rack. So, yeah, there was a lot of information that Ivan had brought out publicly in regards to Colonel Nell that were previously unknown by the public. These points were not made publicly before until all of this had occurred. And now it's ironic because it seems like the colonel is suffering the same fate that he had been an architect of for Ivan.
Do unto others as they do unto you, I think is the old saying.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So we've got some pictures here that let's do it that way. Okay. So we thought that when Ivan left, right?
Yeah.
That he would have been replaced with Danny Sheehan.
Right.
He wasn't, though. He was replaced by Dylan Guthrie.
Right.
Who is a technology, corporate, and national security attorney, former counsel for Federal Reserve Bank of New York, former advisor for the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Not the first time that I've heard the Congress's Committee on Foreign Relations have connections to the UAP topic.
Yeah.
And we've covered that previously, if you remember.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. So it goes full circle.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
It's a good point. I know.
But
where is this ultimately going? Nobody knows.
You know, I was looking on UAP Disclosure Fund, but it's not like I've seen a document come out from them. They'll say, hey, these are our stated goals for 2025. This is what you can expect to see. This is what our plans are and all that stuff. I don't think that's up there, is it?
No.
No.
It is not. No.
And they have they have all the organizational information.
Right.
Let's go to news. And they've got stories that are coming out in like written form. We have one in January, one in November, one in August, another one in August, another one, several in August, and back in July and June, but nothing to get to, and that's great that there's news, which is publications. Do they have? No, it's just news from publications. It's not even news about us, what we're doing. UAP Disclosure Fund in the news. Now, one of the stories here is about it, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the lights are on, but nobody's home in that organization.
Right.
That's what it seems like.
Well, it's just an organization that if you go back and let's get out of here. There we go to this. You know what's missing? You have the founder and executive director. That's good. But he's an executive director over people who are actual directors. You have Lou Elizondo, board of directors, another Gary Nolan, board of directors, and then you've got Jordan Flowers, board of directors, and then you've got Tim Gallaudet. He's on the advisory board along with Christopher Mellon and Kirk McConnell. So if you look at what's going on though in the overall directors, what's missing? Chairman of the board.
Yeah, there is none.
Right. Secretary, all that kind of stuff for all the different positions that you would potentially have on a board of directors. But then again, I'm thinking a board of directors like you would have, like a board of something for a particular for a college or something like that. But just, we wish him the best of luck. Just be interested to know where it's going to go for the year.
It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. That's the problem, and that's the point.
Right.
There is no direction. It's like the ship is drifting.
Right. Other thing that was missing, a press release saying, "Hey, we've brought on Dylan Guthrie. He's our new person doing this particular stuff for him. Please welcome him."
Right. Well, that's what a functioning organization would do that interacts with the public and gets funding from the public.
Well, right, because you'd want to go ahead and promote it.
Right.
These changes that are getting made and what we're doing, which we're accomplishing, you put it out there. But interesting enough, hopefully, Disclosure moves along, and so does the UAPDF.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem like the UAPDF has been doing any particular movement for some time now. That's the point, which is interesting, especially, again, if they depend on public support for funding. You would think they would be more vocal.
Right.
But they're not. They have not been.
No.
So there seems to be a lot of dysfunction that's going on publicly with this organization.
Yeah.
It doesn't make a lot of sense, to be honest with you.
No, it doesn't, does it?
No, it really doesn't. Now, you would think Lou, who's on the board, who's doing these public appearances across the country, speaks about anything and everything. Why hasn't he made any comments about this on his account or at these appearances? You would expect him, who's involved, that would be commenting on this, especially in regards to Colonel Nell. But it's been silent.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make a lot of sense either.
Yeah. One of those things we're trying to figure out, Mike.
No, I know. I saw Lou today put a post up on his account on Twitter thanking a audience member from participating in his recent appearance, but nothing about Colonel Nell or the Disclosure Fund.
No.
Like a vacuum.
Well, I wouldn't think Lou would be going and making the statement. It would be the organization itself would be going. But either way, we're bringing this news out to the audience because you know what?
It's what we do. It's our job.
What we do. It's what everybody deserves to know and what's going on with it.
That's correct.
Back to see what else is going on here.
Oh, we have a few hands up in the back.
All right, we got Ed Brown, then Tia, and then Michael. Let's start with Ed Brown. Go ahead, my friend.
Well, a bunch of people back here just waving their hands, screaming, wanting to jump in here, Thomas. And I guess I got to jump in and give a military perspective to Colonel Nell. The earlier comment was there may be some suggestions as to why he didn't make general. That is such a controversial subject is what it takes to go from 06 or colonel to general. Very few ever do that. But there are some great men that have served their country quite well and ended up leaving as a colonel, as Colonel Nell has. John Alexander is one that comes to mind, and some of the things that he did in the military. And there's, we could go through a whole list of them, of what they've done. But I would think it would be important not to try and figure out so much why he left, as to see where he's going next and how he's going to continue to contribute to the cause, because he definitely has done some study and disclosure. Again, I hate to keep mentioning the Saul Foundation, but last year's Saul Foundation, he put on a very good presentation on disclosure, the various steps that would go through to accomplish that.
Right.
And I don't think we've heard the last of him. Just because he comes off that board is no reason to assume that would be the case.
Yep. I hear you. What do you think, Mike? Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I could reply. I could respond to that, Ed. In regards to his military career, it has been alleged that he is somebody who does not play nice with others, and people who have worked closely with him in the military and outside of the military and civilian life have made similar comments in regard to that, which is why a point was made by Ivan that there was a reason that he did not make general. He was making points.
Was that the comment where he mentioned about being on the spectrum?
Yes. that the colonel was on the autistic spectrum, which means he definitely does not play nice with others, and may also have some mental issues, PTSD, could be a lot of things. Now, yeah, Colonel Nell has an illustrious military career that he left behind. That's public knowledge. But no one has come out publicly and said what a pleasure it was working under Colonel Nell or anybody that worked with him in his civilian life. There's obviously, and Ivan worked hand in hand with him up close and personal as Lou's personal attorney, and also being in the Disclosure Fund with Colonel Nell. So Ivan most definitely would know when he makes statements like this publicly, it's knowledgeable statements based on his personal experience working and dealing with Colonel Nell. So I take that as valuable and credible information that Ivan had brought out publicly. In regards to the colonel moving forward, he hasn't made any public statements about this. None. And like I mentioned to Ashley earlier, if you look at his LinkedIn profile, he's not working as a contractor for the government. He is not working in an aerospace company. He is not doing anything for a paycheck publicly that anybody is aware of currently. So there's a lot of speculation that he might be at this point in his life walking away from the disclosure movement. And we had the Seoul conference. Gary Nolan spoke out publicly. A lot of questions and answers were given. Colonel Nell did not appear. He didn't get involved with a Q&A. He wasn't involved with the conference directly. Nothing that would indicate people alleging that he could just be, excuse me, he could be stepping away from the disclosure movement at this point.
That could be, Mike, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. I don't know him personally and don't know that background, but the one point I mentioned about him delivering a paper at the conference, that was 2 years ago, right. The 2023 one.
No, you're right about that, but nothing since then.
Now, but now you opened up a can of worms here, this thing about him being slightly autistic. You know, now we get into, they're now indicating autistic people may have a better ability to use psychic powers to communicate with.
Right. But anyone who's on the spectrum to a degree, whether it's with autism, whether it's with Asperger's, or it's with even ADHD to a degree, there's interpersonal issues that arise when, like Mike says, sometimes people don't play well with others.
Yeah. Correct. I just want to throw one more thing out and then I'll shut up. You're talking about him not being employed anywhere, just being retired. Look at me. I'm sitting in my easy chair, totally retired, totally unemployed, and I spend my evenings with you guys.
And we appreciate it, Ed, a lot. We do. You have very good inputs and a lot of good points that you make. So at least you're engaged. But my point about Colonel Nell is that right now, with the Seoul conference, with the Disclosure Fund, and just in public in general, he doesn't seem engaged. And that was the point. At least you are publicly. So we have more hands that are up right now, Thomas. Who's next?
I just want to thank everyone who's been throwing super chats. So we had a super chat train going. You know, I was not paying attention. I was just enjoying the show, not looking at stuff here as I should. You know, we had a bunch of super chats really quick. I want to thank Gizmo, Ash is on air, Tia Marie, J-Cat, Townie 3057, Mr. Grimlock, Geraldine DeRazio, Anne Marie, Kane Northrup, CT Well. We just had another one come in from Tia Marie again. Thank you very much, everybody. Great to love and support. And happy Friday, everybody. Speaking of which, Tia, you have your hand up.
So I was wondering, like, you know, Don Jr. has a podcast.
Yes.
I was wondering if somebody's maybe reached out to him and see if you can't get some type of a meeting with him.
Well, Lou was on. Who was Lou with? Lou was on Don Jr. not that long ago.
Yeah, he was.
He was actually on the podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's very interested in this topic.
Yeah.
And
who are you talking about?
Don
Dave?
Jr.
Lou? Oh, Don Jr.
No, Don,
oh, okay.
Yeah. And I think that maybe if we put some, lighter, fire on his ass, maybe we could get him to do something, say something, push something.
Maybe, but
really
that's going to be hard to get to and get him to come across. All we have to do is just hope. Lou knows how to work his contacts and everything. And it comes down to, part of the conversation that was going on when he was on Don Jr. was about having the UAS czar, rather than just calling it the UAP czar, someone in there to go ahead and, if you want to call it, advise the Trump administration on proper policy and how they should handle it. But it sounded like that whole thing of having this UAP czar fell on flat ears, at least with the Trump administration, and nothing's been done on it yet. And I'm sure.
He also called it the drone czar, if you remember.
UAS, yes.
UAS, and yeah. So
UAS and UAP,
drone.
Correct.
Right.
Well, they got so many different podcasters now, like that's even going into the White House, right? And not big famous ones either. I don't know. I just think that maybe, I don't know, Mike,
yeah.
reach out and maybe get something from them.
All
well,
over.
Yeah, it is. But look, let's talk about that for a second. Those files, the Epstein files that were given to those podcasters, those influencers, we covered on the show that Pam Bondi had those documents on her desk for some time before they were released. Remember, Thomas?
Yep. And basically we surmised that she never looked at what she had.
Oh,
it was sitting there. Yeah.
She did. I'll tell you why. Because when that information finally came out publicly, it turned out that those 200 pages were the FBI files from 2014. So it was not new information. No. It was not anything current. And
I know, but she would have expected all of the information to come across. Clearly, she didn't look at it because when people realize this is all you have is just this little bit, she's like, "What do you mean? Why don't we have enough?" As soon as she got the document, she should have looked at it or had one of her assistants look at it and come back and say, "Ma'am, there's no data here. All the stuff we should be getting is missing."
Right.
But one thing that we got to give her credit for is that she came out publicly as soon as that she realized that shit, and she told them, because people are going to lose their job, and you're going to go to jail if I don't get them. And I mean, she made it public, which I've never seen anybody do. So I give her credit for that.
Yeah. How about it CYA to you? How about she made that statement to cover her ass? Because if she
but
had,
now we've got something,
if she had 200 pages on her desk for some time, weeks, and she didn't bother to read through one page and realize it was all public information that the FBI already released in 2014, and they gave her a shit sandwich. Was she not aware of that?
Mike, here's the thing. In her position, she should be able to take that stack of documents, give it to someone, an analyst, and have that person get back. She shouldn't have to go through the documents. Yeah, it was on her desk, but she should have given it to an analyst to figure out what it was, to give her the information, the executive summary on what she did or did not get. But she didn't.
And just one more thing from me real quick is
go ahead to you.
Is there's still people in there that think they know best and that they want to run things the way they want to run things. They've got to still get all these people out of these positions that are able to disobey orders. They seem to think that it's okay, and they're not realizing that it's a new administration and they're going to do what they're told. So people have been getting fired left and right. So hopefully
let me ask you this.
We can get some people in there that
Let me ask you
follow
this.
orders. I'm sorry?
Yeah, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
It seems like right now, the people in the cabinet that have this very complicated tasks that they're trying to perform in their new positions. And it's very complicated because, like you mentioned, there is deeply entrenched bureaucrats that are against having any of this information, not just about UAPs or Epstein or John F. Kennedy or Robert F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King, any of it. It's very, very complicated because these bureaucrats are doing everything they can to obfuscate and block any movement forward publicly. But that being said, Thomas has made this point for the longest time. If you want to cut through all the bullshit and stop wasting everybody's time, all the president has to do is write a goddamn executive order and declassify all of this shit they've been covering up and hiding all this time. But do you see that being done? No, you don't. Thomas, you've made this point repeatedly. The truth can come right from the top, from the executive branch. Isn't that true?
All he has to do is bring out his marker,
tell them to do that
sign
right
his
now?
name, and on an executive order, and he can declassify whatever he wants. Now, if it's from
everything,
if it's from the DOE that he wants to have it declassified, you have to have a signature from James Ratcliffe, who's the head of the CIA, and then you'll also need a sign off from the head of the DOE, which Trump just appointed. So those are all two rubber stamps and the president's stamp, and you could have the most top secret UFO information that our government has. They could go ahead and declassify. Now, they have
all of it. The Epstein files, the Kennedy files. He can declassify everything.
Right, but have you heard today about the Epstein files? They are going to go ahead and release them, but they're working to redact information related to national security.
So you mean that, hold on a minute. You mean to tell me, wait a second. Did they publicly announce that Jeffrey Epstein is directly involved with matters of national security for the United States? That's a bold fucking statement, don't you think?
Reasons of national security.
Yeah, it's because he was a Mossad agent. Do you guys think he's really dead?
Yes, he is. Do I think that the government kills people that they don't want to release secrets? You know, the pirates had a very famous old saying. They said, "Dead men tell no tales." If you remember, right, Thomas?
Yeah, they did. But in interesting other leaked information that came out this week, hey Tia, you know that one guy they have arrested in New York, Luigi Mangione?
Yes.
You know, there are some sex tapes of his that were leaked earlier this week. 20 of them or so.
Oh, God. Who wants to see his dick? Not me.
Oh.
No, thank you. I don't think you do either, Tia.
No, I don't.
Are you
but,
really
I mean,
interested in
was it with
Mangione's
anybody
cock?
important?
No, he's...
You know?
Just him exposing himself.
Scientists have determined that the universe was created by a God.
Actually, I should have asked Alice. Wait, how we
Big
turned
Bang.
the universe was created by God. I can't even hear.
Please, I don't even think Alice is interested in seeing Mangione's cock. I doubt it.
No.
Leave it to the only gay guy to bring that up. All right. I
wish Susan was here. I'd love to ask her that question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Michael.
Yeah.
Sekloff, you're next.
So I'd like to go back to disclosure just for a few moments here.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you, Michael, real quick. Do you want to see Mangione's cock?
God, no. I could care less. Anyhow, I would like to know who decides that society, whether society is ready or not to experience disclosure. Who decides
the executive branch, the president.
And by what criteria do they measure that? Because society could end up never being ready, depending on the criteria and who makes these decisions.
Oh, Lou has said publicly, Michael, that the public is ready to hear the truth. Haven't you heard? I agree with
I
that.
understand that, but we still don't have disclosure.
No,
not
we don't.
cars traffic and not controlled. So who's making the decisions?
The president
by
of the
what
United
criteria?
States could make that choice, like Thomas has pointed out repeatedly. So if he wanted to truly bring out truth and transparency, all he has to do is, what was it, Thomas? The swipe of a pen?
Yeah, well, and the other thing is that this goes right alongside with, oh, well, maybe society can't handle the truth about the JFK files or
Jeffrey
any
Epstein.
other of those conspiracies.
Oh, here's another one. They don't want to go ahead and make a decision getting rid of daylight savings time because half the people want to get up early and half the people want to stay up late, so they're not going to make one permanent change. Everybody hates the clocks freaking change back and forth. Who the frick cares if one people like one time, the other people like the other time? They'll get used to it really freaking quick, but they'll be happy that their clock doesn't change. So,
Right, so Thomas, do you see a pattern here with all these campaign promises that are being reneged upon?
But no, he's not reneging yet. He just hasn't gotten to it. Because there's one thing about Trump, I'll have to say it, it's something that's true about him. Promises made, promises kept. Watch. He'll get there.
Yeah.
Give it some time.
Well, how much time do we have to give it?
Oh, we got
should have gotten the answers.
We have over 3.5 more years to get there.
Okay,
No,
so
we'll
is it going
probably-
to take?
Hey, you know what? And here's the thing. We had over 150 million chickens in the United States killed by Biden's FDA. So if you're worried about your goddamn $20 eggs, Evan B., it's not because of a president. It's because of the past president's policies from the Obama administration. No, the Biden administration. While there, that's a bad part on that brain fart on that point. But yeah, but the thing is, it's that. Yes, it's a result of it. And if you kill 150 million chickens, it's going to take a while to grow them back.
Also going to be supply and demand, which is going to raise
but
the prices.
if you want to get eggs at $5 a dozen, go get yourself a damn Costco membership. Everybody can get one in the United States and even in Canada because they're a Canadian country as well, and you can get your eggs for less than $5 a dozen. You have to buy 2 dozen at a time, but less than $5 a dozen. Supplies available daily.
At $5 a dozen, I would buy 10 at a time. That would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
They're charging 3 times as much here in New York City. It's ridiculous. But getting back to the administration, if they really wanted to cut through all this bullshit with all of it, they can do so very easily if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But they're not doing that. That's the point. With daylight savings time, the drones, the Kennedy files, the Epstein files, they seem to be coming up pretty consistently with all these excuses. Oh, it's a matter of national security now. Is it really?
I know. It just comes down to it. It's taking longer to end this war. and to deal with all the tariffs. Once we get past that stuff, things should get easier. Because oh my God, what's been going on UFO Twitter? Everybody on UFO Twitter has all been talking about either they're Canadians hating on all the American people there, or it's the British, which they have nothing to stand on right now, to be going ahead and smashing down on all the Americans for all the stuff they've got going on in their place. But it's just been like dumping on everybody right now. So it's just kind of like, oh boy. So yeah, if we're talking about politics here, just if you really want to go ahead and deal with UFOs and just hear about politics, go on UFO Twitter, right, Mike?
Oh yeah. That seems to be all they're talking about right now.
Hey,
why? Because there's nothing else to cover as far as disclosure. That's why.
Well, we've got someone in the back with his hand up who loves the UK government as much as and their policies as much as we do. Andrew Donnelly from Ireland.
Oh,
not so much, Thomas. Not so much. Thomas, just relating back to Colonel Carnell, there's always been one thing I found really, really interesting from he came out and South Conference, as there's never ever been any mention of the alleged crash retrieval he was involved in the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we covered that here on the show, Andrew, if you remember. There were allegations about that.
But from his come out onto the stage and it now seems he might be leaving the States. In that whole time, mate, there's never been any mention.
Well, when he put up his slides at the Seoul conference, Andrew, and he was talking about controlled disclosure in all of those illustrations and time frames that he put up, not once did he mention anything about a crash retrieval in the Congo. It was very silent about that.
Well, the one who talked about crash retrieval in Africa, and that was Rick Doty, and who was that? Nell?
Yeah, it was Nell.
Yeah, and that was AFRICOM, right?
Yes, he was in charge of AFRICOM. Correct.
Yeah, and the UAP recovery was in Sudan, right?
Yes, it was. By special
okay, my brain
forces
works.
Yes, it does.
3 in a row.
Sudan, Thomas, you're right.
No, we covered it. We're always on top of everything that's going on.
And whenever I get 3 things right, I have to play the sound effect.
And here, with his bird's eye view and a brain to match, is Mr. Know-It-All.
There you go. But you are correct, sir.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it was. Yeah. You know, so I mean, look, there's a lot that meets the eye about Colonel Nell, about disclosure, about the current administration, all the shenanigans and games that seem to be playing out every day, but nothing concrete, nothing relevant, nothing worthwhile that we're all been waiting to hear. And that's where the frustration comes from. And there is a lot of it. And it's growing every day because everything that we hear, like Thomas has pointed out repeatedly, and I keep saying this like a broken record over and over again, if they wanted to cut through this bullshit, they could do so with the swipe of a pen. Nothing is preventing them from doing that. I don't care how long they've been in office. That has no bearing on it. They could do it instantaneously if they so choose.
All you need is butter. All you need is a butter knife to cut through bullshit, Mike.
That's right.
Cuts through better than warm butter.
It does. You're
actually,
right
you know,
that.
Bullshit is actually kind of tough. It's got a lot of fiber in it.
Yeah, it can, depending on what that bull has been eating. You are right.
That is true. You know, I've got a video clip up here of Peter Thiel. We got to play this in a bit, but we got 3 more people to get through. You know, Peter Thiel is very important because, at least in his own world, because he funds all these people like Jesse Michaels and all these new podcasters who are coming around. Doesn't he fund? Who's the
Christian
reporter?
Harloff.
Christian Harloff, but doesn't he fund one of the big reporters? What is his name? Yeah.
It'll come to you. Don't worry.
Yeah,
about
we'll
it.
get there.
We have a lot
Yeah,
of hands up.
he funds a lot of people. Let's get to it. We'll be playing his clip in a second. It's very interesting. Let's get to Syrup first, and then Ashes, and then Ed, and then Laura.
Okay. Go ahead, Syrup.
Yeah, a couple things. One is you guys keep saying that they could do this with a swipe of a pen, but Trump did do something. He put together a task force to investigate these federal secrets, right? So
Nope. He did not. The Congress put together the task force, but it was based on James Comer put it together with Anna Paulina Luna. So that was actually put together in the House of Representatives, but it aligned with Congress put together that task force to align with the disclosure efforts that were going to be coming as a pivotal foundation or foundational piece of the Trump administration, what they wanted to get done.
It's how the Trump administration wanted to disseminate information directly to the public.
Right.
Not through the executive branch, but through the legislative branch.
Right.
Does that answer your question, sir?
So something's being done. I don't get what the impatience is. I don't get why you guys are expecting it to just be like instantaneous. I mean, dude, they got 6 months to investigate this UFO problem. After 6 months, if they don't get anything, then I can see it there being an issue. But this is the furthest we've ever gotten, period, with any administration as far as investigating federal secrets goes.
Well, at least the intention to.
Yeah, there's an intent, but not anything that's been followed through on yet. Not on the drones, not on the files, not on disclosure, not on any of it so far. Nothing.
We've got an order that's been placed to the kitchen for national secrets. However, the the civil servants in the kitchen aren't willing to go ahead and give us their order yet, so we're having to send back the manager to get them to deliver them for us.
Right, there you go. So like for the Epstein files, it's not Luna that's having issues or the other lady, right? It's the people.
Pam Bondi, yeah, it was the the Southern District of New York's FBI office that was preventing those files purposely. You know, the bureaucrats, as we call them. They're not elected.
But didn't that guy resign?
No, his ass was fucking fired. He said he resigned, but he was fired.
Yep.
So do you not think we're going to get any kind of information with this task force or what?
Are you talking about the Epstein files? Oh, they've been shredding.
Like, any of the federal secrets.
They've been running the shredder since this first broke. They're not going to get any of those actual files, and we're not going to see them. That's the simple truth, sir. But does this current administration want to tell the public that? Probably not. So we're going to get dribs and drabs. We're not going to get direct information.
Fired. Okay.
That's the reality of it.
But didn't they just have 1,000? Like, wasn't there like over 1,000 more documents they just received?
2,000.
Got to go through.
You're fired.
2,000.
You're fired. You're fired.
So what makes you think that we're not going to get anything out of those 2,000?
And Trump would definitely tell us if the last administration like ruined everything. He's going to definitely let us know it was them and not him.
Oh, you mean like the drones? Well, we got a bullshit answer as far as that's concerned.
You're fired. You're fired.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, where is that coming from?
Sorry about that, Mike.
Oh, okay.
I have not.
No, yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, okay. With the drone thing, fine. But I mean, I would have to assume that those were our drones, and maybe they really can't say anything without it being a national security issue.
Well, if you remember when we were getting lied to by the previous administration, Trump had jumped right in publicly and said, oh no, the minute I'm in office, I am going to reveal publicly what this administration is hiding from everybody. And he did not do that. So, and now we're in what, March? And he came into office on January 20th. Okay. How long does it take when somebody said on the first day, I will make this information public? He did not. And we haven't gotten it. And that caused a lot of frustration in the eyes of the public and with all of us as well, because we expected to get that information. And now, even though it was claimed that the FAA authorized those drones for research purposes, members of the FAA have said publicly, we have no fucking idea what he's talking about. So it's a shit show is what it is so far, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case. I really do. I want this information as much as everybody else does. So does Thomas. It's why we're here. But we haven't gotten it. And is there any guarantees that we're going to get any of this information on those lists? I don't know yet. But again, going back to the point that we keep making, if they truly wanted access and wanted to bring it out publicly on all of this, not just the disclosure for UAP or Epstein or Kennedy or any of it, Trump very easily could write an executive order and declassify all of it instantaneously. So,
but I'm not trying to argue with you, by the way, Mike. But okay, so
no, I get that, sir,
and I appreciate the fact that you're going after Trump and you weren't like some of the other people always making excuses for the guy, right? So I can appreciate that. But
you've been following the show for a while now. You know that Thomas and I don't make excuses for anybody on either side of the aisle.
And I can appreciate that because there are people that play identity politics and that will do that. But okay, so when he signed that, what was it, the executive order for the Kennedy files, and he said he gave everyone 45 days. I think 45 days would have been March 6th. So he signed an executive order for one of them, right? Or was that for everything?
It was for the JFK files specifically.
That was JFK files only?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I got more
questions. And there was a meeting yesterday between Tulsi Gabbard and Anna Polina Luna, specifically about the JFK files.
Right.
Okay. I got more questions. I don't want to take up airtime, man. I appreciate you.
Well, we'll get back around to you. Don't worry, sir. But I think Ed is next, right, Thomas?
Yes. No, Ashes is next, then Ed, then Laura.
Okay. Ashley, go ahead.
So there's so much I could say on this topic, but that's what the back chat is for, right? So I'm going to try to keep this like tight and sweet as much as I can. But my hypothesis about the drones, I will still stick to my guns when I say that it had something to do with the Navy, probably DARPA and the ACE program. But,
in other words, they're from us, those federal government doing their stuff.
Oh, yeah. And if you look at the history of Lockheed and of Raytheon and stuff, they play both sides of the aisle.
Right.
And
Now,
who makes money?
If these things were on a test, they wouldn't have been out there, and the numbers they were out there, and they would not have been seen moving in grid patterns. These things were out there programmed to look for something. They were searching for something. They may have found it. They, you know, considering Washington D.C. didn't blow up, hopefully they did find out what they were looking for, because they're sure as hell were looking for something. This wasn't a stroll through the park and on a Saturday night.
Right. So they play both sides of the fence, right? They're on Republicans, they're on Democrats' side, everything. And who profits with turmoil and chaos? We better get our crap together, right?
Profits, usually it's the Catholic Church.
It's these programs like Lockheed and Martin and Raytheon, and anybody who thinks that they're not a business needs to like rethink what they're doing, because I have looked at the numbers here, and I'll just tell you on my notes that 74% is owned by institutional investors. State Street, Global Advisors, Vanguard, and BlackRock.
BlackRock is behind all of it.
If you put it into terms of how much they would make today if they sold their profits off this just today, okay? And it could change. It could change. And definitely if we're still like warmongering and stuff. But right now, if they sold it, State Street would sell their profits off of just Lockheed for $16.16 billion, Vanguard $8.3 billion, and BlackRock $4.49 billion.
They're only worth $4.49 billion? That's not a lot of money.
No,
right?
It isn't.
But then it's either, I can't remember because I don't have my notes right in front of me, but it's either BlackRock or Vanguard that they double dip because they own each other. It gets crazy, I'm telling you.
But they can't release that information publicly. They can't produce any products publicly, because then it would open them up for liability from other military industrial complex companies that got fucked over and was removed and excluded from having access to this material and information, like Bigelow Aerospace.
Right. This has got to be information about projects they've been involved in, because as of March 7th, 2025, BlackRock Inc., which is trades on the NYSE as BLK, has a market capitalization of approximately $147 billion, and the stock is presently trading at $946.92 per share.
Oh yeah, they make their money one way or another. So that's why I think disclosure, part of the reason is that these government entities, maybe even, I don't know.
Oh my God.
You don't know either. Maybe Trump is profiting off of these companies as well. Who knows?
Did you know that Costco's stock is higher than BlackRock's?
No, really?
Costco is at $964 a share.
Oh, I hope you have some of that.
Well, yeah, through stock options and stuff. I was an idiot when I started working there so many years ago. I didn't buy any stocks.
I bet you're kicking yourself now.
Nah, it's all right. I'm fine.
Okay, no, that's good. But I didn't know that their stock was that high.
Neither
That's
did
good.
I. Last time I looked at, well, apparently on the 7th, it was up high as recently a 378. Holy shit.
Wow. Yeah. You should buy more stock options.
Well, I get them awarded.
Oh, good. Even better. Perfect.
Well, I also think that Trump kind of stuck his foot in his mouth when he said, oh, by the way, we're going to tell you on the first or second day, because if you factor in that these companies have been making this secret tech and everything, how is it going to look if we release our own information about what's going on, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Great points, Ashley. I appreciate it.
Ed is next, I believe.
Yes, and I'm stepped away for a second, so continue.
Well, Mike, I'm just going to tell you, we've got so many cans of worms open tonight. You said earlier this is going to be a great show. We found very little to talk about and the good news of disclosure, but everything else has been so interesting tonight. Now, I've got a deal for you, by the way.
Yeah.
I feel super sorry for you, Mike. And if you can pay me $7 a dozen, I can get you as many eggs as you want.
Actually, that's a good price. Is it really $7 by you?
Oh, that's it's $6 for us and a dollar profit or shopping or shipping fee. We're paying $6 a dozen in Texas.
$3.50 in Indiana, Amish farmers.
What a deal.
Is it really? Holy shit.
Okay, well, I wanted to say earlier, we were talking about a stroke of a pen. There were 2 news stories came out today that no one's mentioned.
Go ahead.
The executive signatures that the president's put on these things. One of them is and I believe I've got this right, I just barely caught it in passing, that the Missouri Attorney General is suing Biden over some of his executive actions. Had you heard about that?
No.
Yes, them going ahead and saying that Biden didn't have the mental capacity to be signing his executive orders, and he may have been signing things he was unaware of the full capacity of what he was actually executing.
Absolutely right. And then Glenn Beck added to that and said that a lot of those executive actions, starting with the Obama administration, but then Biden used it a lot, was the automatic signing pens, where he wasn't even present when it was signed.
What?
And they're saying, that they have a pen with his signature on it, and that he can take they can take an executive order page and run it through this printing machine, and it'll print out his signature as if he signed it, but it was done automatically. So can you imagine if some court said, yep, he wasn't there for the signing, or he wasn't competent when he signed it, and they were all null and void? Imagine the impact that would have.
That would probably tie up the courts for the next 100 years if they litigated that, I would think. They're probably not, Ed.
Well, I agree. I just think it's kind of humorous to look at it from that perspective, to point out that many of those things he had no idea. Just in the last month of his presidency, he would be asked about something, and he would say, I don't know anything about that. And they said, well, you signed it, 2 days ago or whatever.
That's what the Speaker of the House said.
And that's publicly. Like we have that. We've seen that. That was public. That wasn't behind the scenes. You're very right about that, Ed.
Yeah, they were making points when he was still in office that there were times when he was speaking publicly and he was live on camera and looked like he was 1,000 miles away. They said that was because he was shitting himself repeatedly. I think the Adam diapers or something like that. So, yeah, it was just a bad situation with the last administration, especially towards the end.
Well, in other Biden news,
yeah,
Hunter is broke, and he had to drop his lawsuit against. Hunter Biden is flat out broke. He had to drop his multi-million-dollar lawsuit against people who release his laptop information.
Yeah.
Apparently, people aren't giving him money anymore from foreign governments, and no one's buying his artwork.
Well, how weird is that?
Oh, it all dried up after he got the pardon. Oh, I feel real sorry for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's for the current Biden news, I guess, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all I had. I just wanted to share that with you, get a little levity in here, and tell you how much I'm appreciating this discussion. It's been good tonight.
It is.
It's been fun. Yeah, it's lively. Yeah, we don't have anything really to cover in the news cycle. So Thomas and I are just being ourselves for the audience and telling it like it is, based on our knowledge, our experience, and our seat at the table in this community behind the scenes.
Mike, I've got one more I want to throw out, if it's okay. And
go right ahead, Ed.
To follow up on that discussion we had earlier about the Seoul conference question and answer with Skakefish and Gary Nolan. Nolan was asked the question, do you think the crafts are intelligent themselves? If there's NHI actually in not riding in the craft, but actually in the manufacture of the craft itself. And he does not think so. So I think that might be an interesting topic to discuss.
Well, we asked that question of Lou Elizondo when he was on the show years ago, whether or not the craft are a life form. And he said, no, absolutely not.
Right. He did.
He did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Greg O'Brien asked that question.
Well, Nolan agrees with him then. That would be interesting if it was. I mean, you just think of the conflict with an NHI entity inside the craft arguing with the craft itself over what we do next.
I think there's a hierarchy in consciousness. That's okay. Great concept. And
to your point earlier, Ed, about the former 06 not achieving 07 rank, being a scumbag in personal life might have had something to do with that as well. I'm speaking strictly in military terms.
Boy.
It's a slightly sensitive subject with me only because I made 06 but not 07.
Well, but you're not a scumbag. So
I thank you for that vote of confidence.
Oh, absolutely. You've earned that vote of confidence, my friend. But the other former 06 has not, for obvious reasons. But I think that might have something to explain why that would have prevented it, because it's not just what you know, but it's also if you're able to play nicely with others or not in the military. Am I right or wrong about that, Ed?
Oh, you're right. You're right. And you can get in a lot of trouble with personality. That's true.
Absolutely.
Geraldine wants to toast us. She has some Disclosure Chardonnay.
Oh, really? Excellent.
Welcome, Geraldine. Cheers.
Yep.
To a vodka Red Bull. There you go.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Laura Campbell.
I guess. Yep.
Has her hand up. Laura. Love you, girl.
Hi, guys. So I'm going to continue with this can of worms. I was looking into Alex Klokus, if I'm pronouncing it, Klokus. He's the co-founder of a tech company called Futurism. He works with Dubai quite a bit. They want to make it foreign language accessible, as well as he does some summits in Dubai.
A lot of money in Dubai.
Government summit. Yeah, a lot of money. Speaking of the money, so Alex funds different organizations.
Okay.
And he does the Skywatcher project, and there's a parent company to that as well. That parent company also invited the telepathy tapes, which has been suddenly
debunked.
Pardon?
It's been debunked, the telepathy tapes.
Well, what I'm saying is this Dr. Diane Powell, she's been invited into this organization with the Skywatcher project, this parent company of them, with this Alex funding it. He's also part of the SALT fund.
Yeah.
So he's very involved with all three of those.
And Peter Thiel, I believe, is maybe funding this too, besides the guy from SALT.
Yeah, they're all interconnected.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to know who's at the top orchestrating all of this.
Peter Thiel.
Peter's at the top of the top.
And we do have a video clip of him if you'd like to see it.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and play this, and I'd love to get your reaction on it, Laura, when we're done. Here we go. Let's get into this with the guest. Peter Thiel over on Joe Rogan last year and argued aliens would necessarily be either angels or demons. So he's taken the religious aspect to it. I know, but let's at least see what they have to say before we throw them under the bus.
Okay.
One of them is that you need complete totalitarian controls, and the individuals, they might not be perfect, they might be demons, doesn't matter, but you have a demonic totalitarian control of your society where it's like you have like parapsychological mind meld with everybody.
Hold on.
And
look at his eyes. He reminds me of Jake Barber there for a second.
Oh, yeah.
His eyes are like bugging out of his head as he's talking about this. He's dead serious. Let's watch some more.
No one can act independently of anybody else. No one can ever launch a warp drive weapon. And everybody who has that ability isn't like a mind meld link with everybody else or something like that. You can't have libertarian, individualistic free agency.
Right.
And then I think the other version socially and culturally is they have to be like perfectly altruistic, non-self-interest. They have to be angels. And so the Pazulka literal thing I'd come to is the aliens, it's not that they might be demons or angels, they must be demons or angels if you have faster than light travel. And both of those seem pretty crazy to me.
Well, they're definitely pretty crazy, but so are human beings.
Including the one he's talking with.
Oh, absolutely.
So they've got to be
pretty crazy to me.
Well, they've
got to be either angels or demons in that sense, which means they're good ones. There's good aliens, and then there's bad aliens. God, it sounds like I'm listening to fricking what's his name?
Stephen Greer.
No, not Stephen Greer. We had him on the show here once before. Farsight Institute.
Oh, Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown talks about the good aliens and the bad aliens.
His wife and daughter who were aliens. Yeah, I remember. For fuck's sake. Yeah, here we go again. Round 2. Lovely. And this is not good news, listening to this video clip.
No, because this is the guy who goes and... It's just, you've got, I guess it takes a look at it. I guess we just have to understand who this guy is. And he's not just a schmuck. This is a billionaire's billionaire, right?
Right.
He's got more money than, well, not Elon Musk, but he's got a lot.
But no eyebrows and his eyes don't blink. Very strange. It's a weird appearance. Doesn't look right.
But
doesn't sound right.
But he was serious about it, though. I guess we could play it again if we really want to hear it.
But... No, please don't. I've heard enough. Yeah. That once was enough. Thank you. Ashley, hand is up.
I just wanted to say, like, I don't know if I believe them or not, but
no shit.
Their eyes are crazy. And, Jake Barber has said more than once he was possessed. So I'm wondering if that's what changed his eyes.
He really said that?
Yes, he said that on his interview. Like, if you watch the long version.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm good.
Yeah. Yep. He says he's possessed by that female spirit from the egg and that it's still with him today. And I'm wondering, like, because if you see him before...
No, granted, when I did my multi-tier chakra crown chakra meditation, at the same time doing samadhi meditation, at the same time I'm putting my hand over the water system of Mill Creek, connecting with that to broadcast it out, projecting memory and emotion. It's the key, memory and emotion, to project it outward. I did have this great connection event after that kind of a thing, and it's impossible to cut the ties depending on how high in the pecking order you go, but
did your eyes change?
No, I blink.
Because if you see him before, like when he's on the Jesse Michaels show, and you see him on the Steve Colhart show, his eyes have totally just. It's kind of
some of the different shows when he was on Jesse Michaels, they made him wear glasses and they didn't let him look directly into the camera. Because if you put on glasses,
it hides it from the audience.
All of a sudden, you're not seeing as much as the eyes by themselves. And trust me, I've tried to learn how to bug out my eyes, and I can't to that level.
It's just an interesting little observation that I made. I was just wondering what y'all thought. So
yeah. Thank you, Nancy, for that super chat again. I appreciate that, my dear. Wow. Boy, wow, Mike, we didn't even get through all the points we're going to talk about today. Does that mean we actually have something left to talk about? Well, Laura's got her hand back up. Thank God. Laura, go ahead.
So does Ed.
I was going to add to that, Ashley. Speaking of possession, I would direct people, if you want to hear a different side of Epstein, you go to Project Unity. There's a Juliette Rose Bryant, who was one of his victims. Talks about him.
She's a victim of Project Unity's?
She's a buddy. Victim of poor Epstein, and she was on the island, and her description of him in certain moments makes you wonder about what he is. That's not the first time I've heard that about Epstein in terms of another group that remote viewed him. So, yeah.
What? That he was a demon?
Well, not exactly, but more think in terms of almost possession, but a little different than that. There might be a reason why they're shredding a lot of documents on Epstein beside Mossad, which he obviously was part of, and his creepy
But they've got that stuff going on in Israel. They don't have to go to Epstein Island for that. Right?
Think more in terms of that weird ranch he had out west and how he wanted to have a special breeding program for himself.
Like having 30 babies with different wives. But that sounds like Elon Musk.
Well, he's unusual as well.
Yeah.
I would just say if somebody wants to delve into Epstein more, take a look at that Project Unity.
Yeah.
That's all.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Ed Brown.
Well, there's a lot of options here. It seems to me, Thomas. One is on Epstein. I think it may have just been for money. He found himself a pretty lucrative way to possibly encourage those people to do something they didn't want known and then to blackmail them for it. So that's a possibility too.
Yes.
Back on Barber.
Possibility. Yeah.
Barber didn't actually say he felt he was possessed by that woman, but that he felt the influence of her. That when he went close to the egg, he could feel that spirit or whatever speaking to him.
Yeah, and he said it reminded him of his mother. That's why he got an erection. It's just really creepy, the whole thing, Bobber.
Well, what? There's also the people that I want to squeeze this out real quick, and then you all can talk about it.
Squeeze it out sounds like you've got to. Well, yeah, take it. Squeeze it out, my friend.
Well, there's these people that claim they're star children, that they in fact now are adults that are now aware of the fact that they were half hybrid, or that they were hybrids, half of alien and half of a human, and that they're now coming back as star children. Now, you can blow those off if you want, but there's a lot of people that are saying that they feel that connection.
Well, they just need to roll up their sleeve then and have a DNA test done to establish that they're in fact half alien.
Well, you know what I always say, Mike? If you want to see an alien hybrid, go look in the mirror.
Mm-hmm.
Go look in the mirror. More importantly, though, Mike, I've got something. If you want to see something that's been crossed with a woolly mammoth, we've got something to show you. Yeah, they're bringing it back. They're working to bring it back to life, Mike.
Let's see it.
Let me go ahead and bring it up. Where is it at? Let's get to it. Here you go. They've got mice that they've taken the genes from the woolly mammoth and put it into a mouse, and now they've got a woolly mouse. It's the first step to getting the woolly mammoth back. They're testing their equipment on mice.
Cool. What's next? Jurassic Park?
No, it's like they've got a cat mice now.
Wow.
And they just need to go ahead and breed and bring back the stuff from a saber-toothed tiger and turn that into a mouse, and that would be a true predator against the cats.
Oh, yeah, it would be.
Especially in New York.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, God. Can you imagine having the rats turn into predators? To get it. The city would be overrun.
Yeah. Wow, that'd be a good movie.
It would be, actually.
Yeah.
I'd watch it.
Live.
Yeah.
All right. Would you look at that, Mike? Where did the time go? 2 hours and
Pretty
boom.
goddamn quickly. It went fast, and we didn't really cover much of anything.
It usually does.
to be
Hey,
honest
at
with
least
you.
I got to bring out the woolly mice. I thought that was a good one. That came out a couple days ago.
that is a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we had a good conversation, it seems like.
Oh, yeah, always. Always
Yeah.
a good conversation, Mike. Always, my friend. All right, where are we at? Well, let's take a look and see that where that noise is coming from. Got it taken care of. Pushed it, Mike.
There you go.
It wasn't you in the background making the noise. It was
Oh.
somehow
okay.
he got
I was-
magically unmuted again.
Did he really?
Yeah, it's okay. I muted him.
So,
It
thank you
sounded
for
like
that.
it was like his fan buzzing or something like that. One of those things. But anyway, let me go ahead and find the sound effects. Where are we at? Oh, yeah. Let's do it. I want to thank everybody for your wonderful super chats tonight. Happy Friday. Hopefully you had a good one. Yes, I missed a super chat from Daryl. Daryl, thank you. Imagine your job is to fix everything that's wrong with America. The population only gives you 6 weeks to fix it. I know, Nancy Guzmano. Thank you for that super chat, along with Charles Kerr, Tia Marie, C.T. Whale, Kay Northrup, Anne Marie, Geraldine Dorazio, Mr. Grimlock, Townie 3057, J-Cat, Tia Marie again, Ashes on Air, and Gizmo for starting off the super chats tonight. Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody's love and support of everything we do here on Disclosure tonight. More than that, I want to thank everybody in the back for coming out today. All the conversation we've had, who we've been talking with. Andrew, Alice, I think you had your hand up. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Thomas.
Andrew Donnelly, all the way from Ireland. Thanks for coming out, my friend.
Great conversations tonight, Thomas.
You better believe it. Annie's been quiet, so let's move on to Ashes. Thank you for coming out tonight, Ashes, and all the great conversation.
Absolutely. And I just want to remind everybody that we are back on it tomorrow, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. 2 p.m. Pacific. We'll be here.
Awesome.
10 p.m. GMT. Thank you very much. Also want to thank Daryl Zernick. Without your camera, appreciate it, my friend.
Thank you. My camera's working, right?
Now it's back.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right. Great show. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. And Ed Brown from the Recliner in Texas. I am so
This
jealous.
is the second recliner of the night, and I just like to point out my camera is not working right now.
There you go. Recliner tonight. I like the name. We'll change the name of the show.
Maybe.
Thank you for coming in. Yes. FreezerMan71. Appreciate your question.
No problem, Thomas. Great to be here.
You better believe it. Laura Campbell, appreciate you coming out and thank you for participating.
It's been fun, and I'm also on a recliner tonight.
Oh, everyone's lucky I'll be there soon, my friends. Let's go ahead and thank Michael Sokoloff. Thanks for your questions tonight. He's been quiet.
He says, be right back. So he's
All right,
not at the,
BRB. I can't see
keyboard.
it here. Let's then thank Syrup. You've been pouring a lot tonight. Thanks for your ideas. And
Also seems to be away
Tia
from the
Marie, appreciate you coming out. Thank you for participating tonight. Your trophy.
Well, thank you for having me. It was fun, always.
Absolutely. And Mike Disclosure, it's been a fun time as always. Appreciate hanging out with you on a Friday night with our great audience and great panel.
Absolutely, and I agree with Tia. It absolutely was fun, and it went by a lot quicker than I thought.
You better
Because
believe
when
it,
you're
my
having
friend.
a good time, yeah. When you're having fun, it goes by quickly.
Yeah,
Thank you, my friend.
And usually people would say, you could say, it was great having fun in bed. And Mike, as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But
Go back to Party City where you belong.
absolutely, good night, everybody. Love you. See you tomorrow. Y'all come back now here. Take care. Bye-bye.